I am Dr. Laura Moreno, and in this video, I want to talk to you about how you can improve your memory in just 30 days with the help of a simple mineral that many people overlook every single day. If you've ever walked into a room and forgotten why you went there, if you've struggled to remember names, appointments, or where you left your keys, or if you feel like your mind isn't as sharp as it used to be, you're not alone. These small memory lapses are incredibly common, and they tend to increase with stress, age, poor sleep, and nutritional deficiencies. Many people immediately assume that something serious is wrong with their brain, or they blame aging, but in reality, very often the problem is much simpler and much more reversible than they imagine. Your brain is an organ, just like your heart or your muscles. And like any organ, it depends on proper nutrition to function well. It needs oxygen, it needs glucose in the right amounts, it needs healthy fats, and it also needs specific vitamins and minerals that act like tiny switches inside your cells, turning important processes on and off. Without those micronutrients, your brain simply cannot communicate efficiently. One of the most underestimated reasons for poor concentration, mental fatigue, and memory problems is a deficiency of certain minerals that participate directly in nerve transmission. When these minerals are low, your neurons become slower. Messages take longer to travel. You feel foggy. You feel distracted. You read something and realize you didn't absorb a single word. You try to focus, but your mind keeps drifting. And this is where today's topic becomes so important. There is one mineral that plays a key role in memory formation, learning capacity, stress control, and even sleep quality. Yet millions of people don't get enough of it from their diet. In my clinical experience, when we correct this deficiency, patients often report improvements within weeks. They say things like, "Doctor, I feel clearer," or "I'm remembering things faster," or "I don't feel mentally exhausted anymore by the afternoon." That mineral is magnesium. Magnesium is involved in more than 300 biochemical reactions in the body. But what many people don't realize is that it is especially critical for the brain. It helps regulate how neurons fire. It supports the formation of synapses, which are the connections between brain cells. And those connections are literally the physical basis of memory. Every time you learn something new, your brain creates or strengthens connections between neurons. That process requires energy, balance of electrical charges, and proper signaling. Magnesium helps stabilize all of that. Without it, the brain becomes either too excitable or too sluggish, and neither extreme is good for memory. Think of magnesium as a moderator. It keeps your brain calm but alert, focused but not anxious, active but not overwhelmed. When levels are low, you may notice symptoms that you wouldn't immediately associate with memory. Things like irritability, muscle tension, headaches, trouble sleeping, eyelid twitching, fatigue, or anxiety. But all of these are clues that your nervous system is under stress. And when your nervous system is stressed, your memory suffers, because a stressed brain cannot learn efficiently. Imagine trying to study while someone is constantly shouting in your ear. That's what chronic stress hormones like cortisol do to your brain. They interfere with concentration and block memory formation. Magnesium helps regulate these stress responses. It lowers excessive cortisol and supports relaxation. And when the brain feels safe and calm, it finally has the capacity to store information properly. This is one of the reasons why improving your magnesium levels can sometimes feel like lifting a mental fog you didn't even realize you had. But here's the problem. Modern lifestyles are practically designed to deplete magnesium. Highly processed foods contain very little of it. Excess sugar increases its loss through urine. Chronic stress burns through magnesium faster. Alcohol reduces absorption. Even certain medications can lower your levels over time. So you can be eating enough calories every day and still be nutritionally deficient. And when that happens, your brain pays the price. Now, let me explain how this connects specifically to memory over 30 days. During the first week of improving magnesium intake, Many people notice better sleep. They fall asleep faster and wake up fewer times at night. That alone already improves memory, because most memory consolidation happens during deep sleep. If you're not sleeping well, your brain cannot properly organize what you learned during the day. It's like trying to save files on a computer that keeps shutting down unexpectedly. During the second week, people often report less anxiety and less mental fatigue. They feel more emotionally stable. They don't feel as overwhelmed by small problems. And this matters because emotional overload consumes cognitive energy. When your brain is constantly managing stress, it has fewer resources available for focus and learning. By the third week, concentration begins to improve. Tasks that used to feel exhausting become easier. Reading feels smoother. Conversations flow better. You remember details more naturally, not because you're forcing yourself harder, but because your neurons are communicating more efficiently. And by the fourth week, many patients describe something very interesting. They say they feel mentally younger, sharper, faster, as if their brain is finally working the way it used to years ago. This isn't magic, it's biology. When cells receive what they need, they perform better. Of course, magnesium alone isn't the entire solution. There is no single nutrient that fixes everything, but it can be a powerful foundation. Think of it like repairing the wiring in a house. Once the wiring is stable, everything else functions more smoothly. Now, you might be wondering how to get enough magnesium safely and effectively. The first step is always food. Natural sources include leafy green vegetables like spinach and kale, nuts like almonds and cashews, seeds like pumpkin and chia, legumes, whole grains, dark chocolate with high cocoa content, and avocados. These foods don't just provide magnesium. They also provide fiber, antioxidants, and healthy fats that support brain health in general. But many people still struggle to reach optimal levels through diet alone, especially if their stress levels are high or their digestion isn't ideal. In those cases, supplementation can help. Forms like magnesium glycinate or magnesium threonate are often better tolerated and may have specific benefits for the nervous system. Still, it's important to speak with a healthcare professional before starting anything new, especially if you have kidney issues or take medications. And while you're improving magnesium, there are other habits that multiply the effect. Hydration is crucial because even mild dehydration affects concentration. Movement increases blood flow to the brain. Sunlight helps regulate circadian rhythms. Reducing ultra-processed foods decreases inflammation. And practicing moments of mental rest, like deep breathing or short walks without your phone, allows your brain to reset. Memory isn't just about one thing. It's about creating the right environment for your brain to thrive. Because your brain is incredibly adaptable. Even as we age, it continues forming new connections. Scientists call this neuroplasticity, and it means that improvement is always possible. You are not stuck with the memory you have today. With the right support, your brain can change. I've seen adults in their 40s, 50s, and even 70s improve their cognitive clarity simply by correcting deficiencies and adjusting daily habits. So don't accept forgetfulness as something you just have to live with. Listen to your body. Pay attention to the signals. Fatigue, brain fog, poor sleep, irritability, and memory lapses are not random. They are messages. And often, they're asking for something as basic as proper nutrition. Over the next few minutes, I want you to start reflecting on your own routine. Think about what you eat in a typical day. Think about how you sleep. Think about how stressed you feel most of the time. Because improving your memory in 30 days doesn't start with a pill. It starts with awareness of how you are treating your brain every single day without even realizing it. Because memory is not something that suddenly disappears overnight. It slowly weakens when small daily habits chip away at your nervous system. Skipping meals, sleeping 5 hours instead of 7 or 8, drinking too much coffee and too little water, living in constant stress, eating mostly packaged foods. All of that creates a silent drain on your cognitive reserves. And the frustrating part is that many people blame themselves. They say, maybe I'm just distracted, or maybe I'm getting older, or maybe I'm not as smart as I used to be. But very often, it's not a problem of intelligence. It's a problem of biochemistry. Your brain simply doesn't have the raw materials it needs. Imagine trying to build a house without bricks. No matter how skilled the builder is, progress will be slow and unstable. In the same way, your brain cannot build strong memories if it lacks key nutrients like magnesium. Let me explain something important about how memory actually works in very simple terms. When you experience something new, your brain cells communicate using electrical signals. These signals travel through tiny gaps called synapses. For a memory to form, those synapses must strengthen, proteins must be created, connections must be reinforced. And all of that requires energy and mineral balance. Magnesium helps regulate calcium inside neurons. Calcium is what triggers electrical activity, but too much calcium makes neurons overactive and eventually exhausted. Magnesium acts like a gatekeeper. It controls how much calcium enters. It protects brain cells from overstimulation and damage. So when magnesium is low, neurons fire too much, then burn out. And when neurons burn out, focus drops and memory weakens. This is why people with low magnesium often feel both anxious and tired at the same time. Their brain is overworked but inefficient. By restoring magnesium levels, you're not stimulating the brain artificially. You're stabilizing it. You're allowing it to work the way nature intended. And this stability is what improves learning. Have you ever noticed that when you feel calm and well rested, you remember things more easily? But when you're stressed or overwhelmed, you forget simple details? That's not a coincidence. That's neurochemistry. Magnesium promotes the production of GABA, a calming neurotransmitter. GABA helps slow down excessive brain activity. It's like lowering background noise so you can hear the important signals more clearly. And when the noise is reduced, concentration improves naturally. Many of my patients describe it as if someone cleaned a dirty window. Suddenly, everything looks sharper. They can read a page and actually retain the information. They can hold conversations without losing their train of thought. They stop searching for words mid-sentence. They feel more mentally present. And this is something you can realistically start noticing within weeks, not years. Now, let's talk practically about what you can do over the next 30 days if you truly want to give your memory the best chance to improve. First, begin each morning with nourishment, not just caffeine. A breakfast that includes protein, healthy fats, and magnesium-rich foods stabilizes blood sugar. When blood sugar spikes and crashes, your brain suffers. You feel foggy and distracted. Something as simple as adding nuts, seeds, or leafy greens to your first meal can make a difference. Second, pay attention to your hydration. Even a 2% drop in hydration can impair cognitive performance. Many headaches and concentration problems are simply dehydration in disguise. Keep water nearby. Drink consistently, not just when you feel thirsty. Third, move your body every day. You don't need intense workouts. A brisk walk for 20 or 30 minutes increases oxygen and blood flow to the brain. This stimulates growth factors that help create new neural connections. Exercise is like fertilizer for your neurons. Fourth, protect your sleep as if it were medicine, because it is. During deep sleep, your brain cleans out waste products and consolidates memories. If you sleep poorly, it's like trying to study for an exam, but deleting everything each night. Magnesium often helps here too, because it relaxes muscles and calms the nervous system, making it easier to fall asleep naturally. Fifth, reduce chronic stress wherever possible. This doesn't mean eliminating all responsibilities. It means giving your brain small breaks, 5 minutes of deep breathing, a short walk outside, time without screens, moments of silence. These pauses lower cortisol and protect memory centers like the hippocampus. When you combine these habits with adequate magnesium intake, you create a powerful synergy. It's not one giant change, it's many small corrections working together. And over 30 days, those small corrections accumulate. You wake up clearer, you think faster, you feel less mentally drained by the afternoon. You remember appointments without checking your phone 5 times. You feel more confident in conversations. You trust your mind again. That confidence is important because when people start doubting their memory, they become anxious. And anxiety itself worsens memory. It becomes a vicious cycle. Improving your brain chemistry helps break that cycle. I also want to mention something very important, especially if you're over 40 or 50. Cognitive decline is not inevitable. Yes, the brain changes with age, but decline is not destiny. Lifestyle plays a massive role. I've seen people older than 60 who have sharper minds than people in their 30s. The difference is usually habits, not age. They eat real food, they stay active, they sleep well, they manage stress, and they correct nutritional deficiencies. Simple things, consistently done. So if you've been feeling forgetful lately, don't panic and don't assume the worst. Start with the basics, support your brain, give it what it needs. Often, the solution is much more accessible than you think, because sometimes the medical secret isn't a complicated treatment or an expensive therapy. Sometimes it's simply replacing what your body has been missing all along. Sometimes it's simply replacing what your body has been missing all along and allowing your brain to return to its natural state of clarity. And I want you to really sit with that idea for a moment because it changes everything. We've been conditioned to think that better memory must come from something external and dramatic, a powerful pill, a miracle supplement, a special trick. But biology rarely works that way. The brain doesn't need magic, it needs balance. When your internal environment is stable, your mind performs beautifully. When it's depleted, inflamed, or overstressed, everything feels harder. Let me paint you a picture I often use with my patients. Think of your brain like a city at night, millions of lights turning on and off, messages traveling down roads, information moving from one place to another. Now imagine that city with unstable electricity. Lights flicker. Some streets go dark. Signals get delayed. That's what a mineral deficiency looks like inside your nervous system. Magnesium is part of the electrical system that keeps the city running smoothly. Without it, communication slows down. And when communication slows down, memory suffers first. You forget names. You forget where you left things. You walk into a room and can't remember why. You reread the same paragraph 3 times, not because you're incapable, because the wiring is unstable. And what's fascinating is how fast the brain can recover once you correct that instability. I've had patients tell me, "Doctor, I thought I was losing my mind. I thought something was seriously wrong with me, and after a few weeks, I feel like myself again." That phrase, "I feel like myself again," is something I hear all the time, because magnesium doesn't turn you into someone new. It simply brings you back to baseline, back to clarity, back to mental energy, back to the version of you that can focus, learn, and remember naturally. Now, let's talk about something most people overlook: inflammation. Chronic low-grade inflammation in the body quietly affects the brain more than we realize. When you eat highly processed foods, excessive sugar, refined flours, and artificial additives, your immune system stays slightly activated all the time. It's like a constant background fire, and that fire releases inflammatory chemicals that can cross into the brain. When that happens, neurons don't communicate efficiently. Memory formation becomes sluggish. You feel heavy, foggy, slow. Magnesium helps here too. It has natural anti-inflammatory effects. It helps relax blood vessels. It improves circulation. It supports the balance of stress hormones. All of these actions protect brain tissue. So when you increase your magnesium intake, you're not just helping neurons fire correctly. You're also reducing the internal noise that interferes with clear thinking. It's like cleaning smoke out of the air so you can finally see clearly. And this is why results feel holistic. People don't just say, my memory is better. They say, I feel calmer. I sleep deeper. My headaches are gone. I don't feel so tense. I can concentrate for longer. Because the brain is connected to everything, you cannot separate memory from sleep. You cannot separate focus from stress. You cannot separate cognition from nutrition. It's all one system. Now imagine committing to this for 30 days. Not perfectly, just consistently. Each day you nourish your body, each day you hydrate, each day you move a little, each day you prioritize sleep, each day you give your brain enough magnesium. At first, the changes are subtle. Maybe you wake up slightly more refreshed. Maybe you don't need that second cup of coffee. Maybe you feel less irritable. Then around week 2 or 3, something interesting happens. You start noticing fewer mental glitches. You remember conversations more easily. You don't lose words mid-sentence. You finish tasks faster. You stop feeling overwhelmed by simple decisions. And then one day, you realize you went the whole day without that foggy, scattered feeling you used to think was normal. That's when you understand something powerful. Your brain was never broken. It was undernourished. And that realization can be incredibly freeing because it means you have control. You're not waiting for decline. You're actively protecting your mind. And protecting your mind is one of the most important investments you can make because memory is tied to identity. Your memories are your stories, your experiences, your relationships, your life. Taking care of your brain isn't just about productivity, it's about preserving who you are. So over the next days, as you begin applying what we're talking about, pay attention to the small wins, celebrate them. Notice when you feel sharper, notice when learning feels easier, notice when you feel calmer under pressure. Those are signs that your nervous system is stabilizing. Those are signs your brain is healing. And that healing continues quietly, day after day, as long as you keep giving your body what it truly needs. And this is where everything comes together. Because by now you understand something most people never realize until much later in life. Memory loss doesn't usually appear overnight. It doesn't suddenly happen one morning. It builds slowly, quietly, through years of small deficiencies, chronic stress, poor sleep, and inflammation that nobody pays attention to. And the same way decline happens slowly, recovery happens slowly too, but steadily. That's actually good news, because it means you don't need extreme measures. You don't need expensive treatments. You don't need complicated routines. You just need consistency. Consistency with what you feed your body. Consistency with how you rest. Consistency with how you manage stress, and consistency with giving your brain the minerals it depends on every single day. Magnesium is not a miracle. It's something better than that. It's fundamental. It's one of those quiet, behind-the-scenes nutrients that your brain has always needed to function correctly. And when you finally provide enough of it, everything starts working the way it was designed to. Your neurons communicate more efficiently. Your sleep deepens. Your stress response softens, your inflammation decreases, and your memory begins to feel sharper and more reliable. You stop second-guessing yourself. You stop walking into rooms wondering why you're there. You stop feeling mentally exhausted by simple tasks. Instead, you feel clear, present, focused, like your mind finally has energy again. And that's what I want for you. Not perfection, not superhuman memory, just clarity. Just confidence, just the peace of knowing that your brain is supported, protected, and functioning at its best. So if you're going to take one thing away from this video, let it be this. Don't wait until memory problems become scary to start taking care of your brain. Start now. Nourish it now. Protect it now. Because the small choices you make today are the ones that determine how sharp, independent, and mentally strong you'll feel years from now. Your brain has carried you through your entire life. It deserves that care. And sometimes, something as simple as one forgotten mineral is the key to bringing your mind back to life.